Title: Castle. What Princess Leonor did in the royal chambers will shock you, fearful face. It began like any other royal morning. The corridors of Zarzuela Palace glimmered with golden light. Staff moved quietly. Every sound was calculated, every step rehearsed. Princess Leonor, future Queen of Spain, was expected to start her day with royal precision. But this morning, something was different. Something no one saw coming. In the quiet of the royal chambers, Leonor made a decision that would ripple through the palace walls. A decision no one in her position had ever dared to make before. Everyone thought they knew her, graceful, obedient, destined to rule. But behind those closed doors, she revealed a side of herself the world never imagined. Because that morning, Princess Leonor didn't follow the script written for her. She wrote her own. For years, she's been trained for duty, public appearances, speeches, and diplomacy. Every move watched, every word measured, every expression studied. But what happens when the heir to the Spanish throne decides to follow her heart instead of the crown? The story begins in the stillness of her private chamber, where no cameras, no press, no advisors could intrude. Only the quiet hum of her thoughts, and one letter that lay open on her desk. A handwritten note sealed in Danish royal wax. It was from Prince Christian. They had met countless times under the banner of diplomacy, state visits, royal galas, official photographs. But their connection ran deeper than duty. Behind the smiles, there was understanding. Between them, an unspoken promise. A friendship that had quietly evolved into something far greater. That morning, Leonor sat alone, reading Christian's words once again. They weren't formal or rehearsed. They were simple, honest, human. He wrote, "If the world expects us to live by tradition, then let's write a new one, together." Those words echoed in her mind as she stood before the grand mirror in her chamber, wearing her silk morning gown. The princess everyone thought they knew was gone. In her place stood a young woman torn between love and legacy. Her hand trembled as she reached for her mother's photograph, Queen Letizia, the woman who had once been a journalist, who had walked away from ordinary life for royal duty. Leonor whispered, "Mama, how did you choose?" No answer came, only silence. She turned toward the window, looking out at the palace gardens below, where her sister Sophia was practicing archery. A symbol of freedom in the midst of control. For a brief moment, Leonor smiled. And then, she made her move. Without alerting her aides, Leonor opened the secret drawer beneath her desk. Inside was a velvet pouch, hidden for months. Within it, a delicate silver pendant. Christian's gift. She clasped it around her neck, the cool metal pressing against her heartbeat. In that instant, she wasn't just a princess. She was a young woman choosing her own story. Minutes later, the palace corridors stirred. Aides knocked. Advisors waited. The day's meetings, ceremonies, and photo sessions all awaited her. But Leonor wasn't there. She had vanished into the quiet corridors leading to the royal chapel. The guards were confused. No one dared question her. After all, she was the heir. But whispers began to spread. Something was happening behind the closed doors of the chapel. Inside, the flickering candles cast golden light on Leonor's face as she knelt before the altar. Her voice was barely a whisper. "If I must rule, let me rule with truth. Not fear." She pulled from her sleeve the letter Christian had written. And there, in the still air of the royal chapel, she made a vow, not to any crown, but to herself. She would choose love and integrity over expectation. She would not become a puppet to palace politics. That moment changed everything. When she emerged, her eyes glistened, not from tears, but clarity. The guards stood frozen as she walked past them, her pendant gleaming beneath her royal attire. She didn't need to explain. The strength in her gaze said it all. But soon, the news spread through the palace like wildfire. Queen Letizia was informed first. Reports say she was stunned, then silent. King Felipe, torn between duty and fatherhood, demanded to know what his daughter had done. But Leonor remained calm. She simply said, "I've done what's right, for me, and for Spain." Behind closed doors, a storm brewed. Advisors argued that the public must never know. The royal communications team drafted statements, rehearsed explanations, prepared to control the narrative. But Leonor refused to be hidden. When she appeared at the palace balcony later that afternoon, cameras flashed, the crowd roared, and every journalist waited for her first words. She smiled gently and said, "A crown may rest on my head, but my heart will always be my own." Those words shook Europe. Commentators called it defiance. Others called it destiny. But to the people, it was something else entirely: truth. In that single moment, the young princess transformed into a leader. Behind the grandeur, she remained human. Vulnerable. Brave. The girl who dared to step outside the walls of royal perfection and show the world her soul. Later that night, in her private chamber, she sat once more by the window. The moonlight touched her face as she wrote a final letter. "Christian," she began, "today, I chose to be real. Whatever comes next, let it be built on truth." And with that, she placed the letter beside the candlelight, sealing it with the royal crest. She knew it would find its way to Denmark. As dawn broke, a new chapter began. Spain awoke to a future queen who was not afraid to love, not afraid to lead, and not afraid to be herself. The palace may never admit what truly happened in the royal chambers that day, but those who were there will never forget. Because what Princess Leonor did was more than a secret act. It was a declaration, a spark that redefined what it means to wear a crown. It wasn't scandal, it wasn't rebellion, it was courage, the kind that shapes history. And as the world continues to whisper, one truth remains unshaken: in that chamber, on that morning, Princess Leonor stopped being just an heir. She became a legend, a young woman who dared to turn duty into destiny, and love into power. And that is what truly happened behind the doors of the royal chambers.